So welcome back, everybody. In today's episode, we're going to be answering a question that I've had for well over 2 years whenever I first picked up this little 24-horse Solis tractor. How big of a rotary mower can we run on it, and will it actually work well? We're going to answer that in today's video. So welcome back, everybody. In today's video, we're going to do something a little different. I just got a brand new rotary mower here thanks to TMG Industrial, and I went with a size larger than what's typically recommended. Now stay tuned at the end of this video. We're going to go over all the specs and features of this, and I just about guarantee you none of y'all have seen this particular style rotary cutter, so it should be something new to you. But first, we're going to explain why I decided to go with a 5-foot mower on a low horsepower tractor, because I think it can handle it, but we're gonna answer that in today's video and mow all different kinds of stuff. All right, y'all, I've been running these Solis H24 tractors. Got the first one about 2.5 years ago. They're 24.8 horsepower. They call them 24 horsepower. Most companies will round that up to 25, which is an extremely common size compact tractor in today's world. So can a small 25 horsepower engine run a 5-foot rotary mower? This would be about as big as I would think I would ever attempt on one of these. Now, typically most people put 4-foot brush cutters on these tractors to size it up to the horsepower there, but I decided to move on up to 5. For one, TMG rated 20 to 60 horsepower for this particular mower. Ultimately, it's gonna be what all you're mowing. Again, we're answering that today. But there's 2 big reasons why I wanted to go to a 5-footer. The first reason is probably gonna be something that'll apply to y'all. Second reason, not so much. I personally am a big fan of mowers sticking outside the wheels. So I always want to size my box blade, my tillers, my mowers to stick outside the wheels because I like to cover the tracks of the tractor. Another thing that is very important with getting a mower that's wider than your wheels, to me, say I'm mowing along a fence line or a building, I like for my mower to stick out because I don't want to have to stick my tires right against the building or have a bucket on that sticks outside up front and potentially damage the building. But because this sticks out, you've got to be careful that you don't hang your mower up on something, because if the tire's clear, doesn't necessarily mean this clears, but I personally think that is a wonderful thing. Now we can edge up next to trees, again, a fence, a building, not damage our tires, our tractor, our machine. I want that space out. So as you can see, we're several inches out on both sides. Reason number 2, I wanted a bigger mower. This is not gonna apply to y'all, but for our everyday viewers, I test equipment here on the channel. I've been demoing these tractors for 2 years. Absolutely love it. Doing my best to never let this tractor leave here. I really think I wanna own it. But I'll be testing other tractors in the future, say in the 30 to 40 horsepower range. That's where a mower this size is going to be perfect. All right, y'all, we're gonna start off mowing some briars and brush in here. I think we're gonna be okay with that. We've got some really thick dog fennels and stuff back here in the garden we're gonna go mow. We're going on the backside of this pasture over here to mow tree lines. And then the final test, which is gonna be the hardest on this, and if I'm being upfront and honest, I haven't run this, by the way. The one I think we're gonna fail the test, I have got some unbelievably thick field grass that could literally be hay baled right now. I run my big 66 horse John Deere in it yesterday, and it was pulling that tractor down with only a 6-foot mower. Believe it or not, grass is the hardest thing on these mowers because your blades are always in constant contact with multiple stalks. The way it wraps up on it, it really pulls an engine down. Mowing your thicker stuff a lot of times and your trails and dog fennel stuff like that typically is much easier on these mowers. All right, so first impressions, this 24 horse tractor run that 5-foot rotary cutter, no problems out mowing and all these pine rows. I just mowed probably a half a mile of trails. Obviously I didn't show you all that. I even hit some big limbs that was about twice what this is rated for, no problems. I'm not recommending you go after that, but let me test it for you. And some, well, I just hit on accident. Really appreciate the fact that this sticks out. As you can see, I was getting close to pine trees. I don't need my front grapple catching on the pine trees. I don't need my tires hitting it. So I'm liking that this sticks out so I can get the tractor a little ways away from those trees. That is key for me. I just don't think I would be happy with a mower that sits in with the tires. I don't like that at all. Obviously cutting some grass, some spindly brush briars, it didn't choke this down at all. It did a fantastic job. Thus far, we're good, but we still have a lot of testing to do. Now look at this right here. This is gonna be typically what people are thinking of with rotary cutters. So at first glance, this looks thick and nasty, and everybody would think this is gonna be your toughest test. It is not, y'all. This is what I really want to get across to you today in this video. So this looks so thick and nasty, but the reason this is actually pretty easy on a big rotary cutter like this is because when you come inside, look at all the big open gaps. It is not as thick as you think. Now there's grass and stuff in here that's going to choke it up, but mainly what we're cutting is this spindly stuff right here. I want to see how well it'll mulch it down. But you can see all the hollow cavities that we have in here, so we're not putting as much material into the blades as you may think. I'm telling you, it's the pasture grass that's gonna really test this. This is what some of y'all need to learn. So I know we have a lot of new tractor owners that watch the channel or people are looking at getting tractors. Hopefully this is gonna be some valuable information for you when you're shopping for rotary mowers. All right, so this is what's left over my watermelon patch. And sadly, we're still gonna find some watermelons out here. So that's gonna be a real test when we start hitting those, but I've tried to go through and pick all that I can. All right, I made a nice quick work of that. This looks like honeysuckle was so thick right here. I did do a couple bogs down. You know, all I did was just stop, let it ramp back up. No shutting off of the tractor, nothing like that. We had this thing completely loaded up with vines. Oh my goodness, I got to go work on all this. Sadly, I found several watermelons. There was more in here than I thought. I might could have ate those. Bummer. Ran over some more watermelons. So if you're curious, does a 5-foot cutter cut watermelons? It absolutely does. But look what I just found. I found a few melons hiding on me. Those may still be good. That one's rotted out over there. We'll go in there and get that one. And I just found a pretty big one hiding down here. That one actually might be good. Might go cut that one open in a little bit, see what we got. All right, so as you've seen, I backed into some of it, which I really like doing for tall stuff, push it over so it doesn't catch under the tractor, and I came forward, worked just fine in both directions. Now what I'm gonna do is go back over this. I'm gonna lower down just a little more, cut this down, and then the rest of the summer, I'll just come out here on my zero turn, knocking down weeds until winter gets here and then nothing's growing. All right, my friends, without further ado, this is gonna be the real test right here. Trust me on that. So you can see we're standing in a pasture that I mowed yesterday, and it is so thick. This camera just don't do this justice. This is what you would cut and bale hay in. Crazy thick. Normally I never let it get half this high because it's so hard to cut. Well, you see how high I had to cut yesterday just to keep from bogging my 66 horse tractor down. And it's just left a mess everywhere. I need to come back and double cut this. If you're realistically gonna think you're gonna be cutting grass like this, you need to go with the smallest mower that you can to maximize your horsepower, but I wouldn't be field mowing stuff like this on a routine basis with a tractor that small. You're just gonna need something bigger, or you need to hire somebody to come in and cut hay for you. So with that said, when it comes to like spindly trees and stuff this big and all, not gonna be a problem. When it comes to thicker dog fennels and clumped up brush, not a problem. Briar is not a brush. Thick grass, this is the ultimate test, and a lot of people think that this is the easy stuff. This is by far the worst. You're about to see, I'm expecting some pull down. I'm probably gonna have to cut this really high. There's no way I can cut it low. Probably gonna have to double cut it. Let's see what happens. All right, well that actually did a little better than I was thinking, but as you can see, I had to cut really, really high, so it's a rough cut. If I were to go in the yard and drop it down, it would be a nice clean cut. But I tried to match it up to what I did with the big John Deere yesterday. All right, so I think we answered it. I personally feel very comfortable with a 24 to 25 horsepower tractor with a 5-foot mower. I definitely would not go any bigger than that unless you have extremely well maintained property that you do not let get thick. So it did beautiful today on absolutely everything we put it through, except maybe the huge field grass test, and I already knew that was going to be an issue. I just don't really think there's much that you can run on a tractor this size to where it's going to cut a hayfield, a super thick hayfield, efficiently. You need raw power for that, or you need a disc cutter that's actually made for cutting and laying down hay. But chances are, if you're doing hay for a living, you've got 75 or 100 horsepower machines. So now I'm really happy I went with this for the fact that I like the stick out. That's very important. We can cover a foot more ground versus a 48-inch model. It seems to be matched okay with this tractor. It really, really does, especially for the type of cutting that you and I are realistically going to be doing. All right, so I told you I was going to give you a full walk around and review on this mower right here. A lot of you are not familiar with TMG Industrial. I partnered up with them a while back. Actually, I've been personally buying from them for years. First thing I bought from them was a tractor skidding winch to get logs out of the woods. Then we moved into a car lift. Then most recently they sponsored us for sawmill on the channel, and now tractor mower. I said all that to say they have a little bit of everything. They have all kinds of skid steer, excavator, and tractor equipment, plus shop equipment and sawmills. So you may want to check them out and put links down in the description along with a discount code. This particular mower, they offer in a 48-inch, a 5-footer. They may even have a 6-footer, but I was looking at the 48s and 60-inch models because I knew that would pair up nicely with this tractor out here. They also have flail mowers, all kinds of other stuff. Just go look on their website, tons of stuff. They do free shipping right to you off of freight semis. They often run sales, and again, sometimes there's sweet discount codes on their websites, but I almost always will have one that I'll put down in the description as well. So a huge shout out and thank you to TMG Industrial for sponsoring this product, this video, so we can bring you more content. I can go do more work. It's very much appreciated. Okay, so a lot of rotary mowers are the same, but a few little upgrades here that I do like. So let's talk about some of the basics. For starters, I jumped on, say, Tractor Supply's website and looked at a comparable mower because I was looking at prices and materials and all. Well, their mower is a little cheaper. Yes, that's where a lot of people are going to be looking for first-time tractor buyers and entry-level stuff. However, go start looking at the specs. This mower is actually made out of thicker material than a lot of your entry-level mowers. That is extremely important. Probably one of the more important features, because as you cut stuff and throw sticks and accidentally hit rocks and all around in here or back into something, thicker deck is just going to last longer. Plus, it's not going to rust out as quick if you're in very sandy conditions. That's one of the first things I look for is thickness of material. I know I'm going to be asked, is it quick hitch compatible? Yes, I went ahead and set it up for that, no problem. It does not come with these quick hitch pins. I had to put those on. It's set up for standard 3-point hookup, but these are available just about anywhere. Amazon, Tractor Supply, you name it, you can pick those up. But nowadays, just about everybody is building to be quick hitch compatible because so many of us have these quick hitches. It's rated for 20 to 60 horsepower based off the gearbox. If you got a 60 horse tractor, chances are you're moving up into a bigger mower than this. I think the sweet spot's 30 to 40 horsepower, but as we're seeing today, 24 horsepower is running this very, very well. So it just comes with minor assembly required. I'm gonna throw in fast forward right here because, well, it's kind of boring and just bolting a few pieces you can see. You can literally put this thing together just by looking at a picture. That's basically what I did with the manual right there. So minor assembly, minor tools needed. I think that's to be expected right there. I will say it does come with the PTO shaft. It comes with a slip clutch. That's very nice. A lot of your cheaper mowers, keep this in mind, y'all, come with a shaft only that requires shear pins, and they break all the time. A slip clutch is a nice upgrade. Happy to see that it includes it. I really like the tail wheel assembly here. Everything is very robust, nice and thick. Looks like 3X material. Comes with a run flat tire, solid tire. That's what you absolutely want to see on these. Reinforced because you're going to be bumping stuff and all back here. Happy to see that. I've seen some thinner stuff before that just literally has bars going back. Yeah, you'll bend those. Gearbox does not come filled. It says 90 weight gear lube. You can pick that up just about anywhere. So keep in mind, do not run these if you order one until you put gear lube in there. All right, so if we take a look underneath, some very thick, robust blades right here for such a small mower. Now, take note, it does not have your pan style stump jumper if you're mowing in an area with a bunch of stumps. I personally tend to avoid stump areas because I'm not trying to tear my equipment up. But I did want to note that because some people may be curious. You can see all the welding and reinforcing. There's a whole grid pattern. I even see square tubing way up front. Hopefully you can see that. I really like to see decks reinforced, because they will take abuse and damage. Appears to be powder coated, so that should really hold up. Thickness of the metal, I already seen was thicker than some local units. Big fan of that. And here is something that I really, really like compared to my John Deere mower that's very expensive. I like these thick bolt-on skid shoes right here. I am used to cheaper built mowers, literally taking a piece of flat bar, welding it just to the bottom of this right here, and what that leaves you with is, this is your impact area. As these blades are spinning around, throwing stuff to either side, you'll wind up with bows and buckles. You'll see that on my John Deere. And when they weld to the bottom of this, it winds up creating rust pockets and rust points, as you'll also see on my John Deere mower. and it's just going to wear out and fatigue even quicker. I like the fact that they're using really thick material right here, bolted through the side, so we're essentially like 2.5 times in the thickness. We're stiffening it up, the impact area, reinforcing it, and they're not doing that weld directly to my actual structure right here, not causing it to rust out. Plus, if you wind up impacting something with these, I mean, skid shoes are kind of there for that reason, to ride up above ground and for impact. You can unbolt them, take them off, bend them back, or replace them if you need to. So one other thing worth mentioning, a lot of people are scared to order equipment things over the mail. I've been doing it for years because they're worried about parts and all. One thing I want to stress, there's a lot of new companies popping up, shipping you stuff from overseas. The prices are excellent. I see them everywhere. I'm tempted by some of the stuff. Well, guess what? Typically, there's no part service and there's no customer service. The one thing that I like that TMG does is they have Canadian warehouses, they have USA warehouses. They're building more USA warehouses, and they're building a dedicated parts store. All right, y'all, I have got one sweet little trail mowing setup or traveling setup. This is lightweight to go on just a dual axle trailer. I can go do some work with this, maybe earn a little income. I'm super happy with it. So can a 24 horse tractor or 25 horse run a 5-foot mower? Yes. All right, y'all, thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you out as you shop for tractors and tractor accessories.